0.89 millimeters. That is the full diameter of this alumina ceramic rod, thinner than the lead inside a mechanical pencil. At 99.8% purity, this is one of the highest grade alumina rods ADCERAX produces, extruded and precision ground to hold its cross-section consistent over the full length. It is a production volume OEM component, manufactured to gauge specification of 0.035 inches, shipped in batch quantities to instrument builders and sensor manufacturers who need a structural element that insulates, resists heat, and adds zero contamination. What holds a rod this thin together under real working conditions? Bending strength around 450 megapascals, enough to resist lateral force without snapping, even at a cross-section under 1 millimeter. Dielectric strength of 12 kilovolts per millimeter, which through a 0.89 millimeter diameter translates to roughly 10 kilovolts of insulation from one side to the other. Continuous service temperature up to 1750 degrees Celsius at 99.8% purity. This rod survives inside a furnace probe or a thermocouple assembly without softening or reacting. A thermal expansion coefficient of 8 times 10 to the -6 per Kelvin, predictable enough for the microassembly to stay dimensionally stable through thermal cycling. And surface finish ground to raw 0.2 micrometers. On a rod this small, surface quality is not cosmetic. A rough surface on a sub-millimeter component means stress concentrators that invite fracture. Manufacturing a ceramic rod at 0.89 millimeters is an exercise in controlled extrusion. The alumina feedstock is pressed through a precision die, sintered at high temperature, and then ground to final diameter, held to ±0.02 millimeters across the full length. At this scale, straightness matters as much as diameter. A rod that bows even slightly will not insert into its mating bore or align properly inside a sensor housing. ADCERAX cuts these rods to multiple standard lengths per customer specification, and each batch where every rod must match every other rod in the same shipment. Diameter, straightness, surface quality, and purity. That batch consistency is what lets OEM assembly lines run without sorting or rejecting individual pieces. Open up a precision thermocouple probe, a gas analysis sensor, or a spectrometer sample path, and somewhere inside, holding the sensing element in position and isolating it from the metal housing, you will find a component exactly like this. A sub-millimeter ceramic rod serving as the structural spine that keeps everything aligned and insulated. Inside a thermocouple assembly, the two dissimilar metal wires need to run through a metal sheath without touching it. A 0.89 mm alumina rod between the wires and the sheath wall maintains that separation, even when the probe tip reaches 1200 degrees Celsius. The 99.8% purity ensures no metallic ions migrate from the rod into the thermocouple junction, because at those temperatures, even trace impurities would drift through the ceramic lattice and corrupt the voltage reading. Inside an analytical instrument, the rod might serve as a capillary guide, a reference pin, or an insulating standoff between high-voltage electrodes in a detector cell. The dielectric strength, roughly 10 kilovolts across the full 0.89 mm diameter, means the rod can separate signal paths carrying kilovolt potentials without leakage or arcing, even in humid or corrosive sample environments. ADCERAX supplies them in batch quantities at multiple cut lengths, blister-packed or bundled, ready to feed directly into the assembly line without incoming inspection beyond a spot check on diameter and straightness.